Hey, hello. Today I'm going to do a pastel still life using my soft pastel kit and a red piece of paper. Here are my grandmother's Fiesta ware set that she left me. It's very beautifully colored. I put it together with a lemon and an apple to accentuate the color, and also a large spoon to get some reflective properties in here. My first step is to use a white charcoal pencil to draw the layout of the pitcher, cup and saucer, etc. on the red paper. Note that I have my drawing board directly under the still life so I can have a great vantage view. Here is my clamp light that I have shining onto my table. Notice I've got a movie on in the background, so I can do two things at the same time. Notice how I have the setup where the light is accentuating the reflection on the spoon and it's throwing a large highlight on the pitcher. Here's a look at my layout. It's not perfect. I see my ellipses are a little bit off and such. But one important thing I did do right are the concentric circles inside the pitcher. If those are off and wobbly, it's going to be very noticeable. Now I've selected a dark blue, a light blue, and a white to start blocking in the basic colors of the pitcher. Notice how well soft pastel covers the intense red paper. Almost opaque if I want to do it so. Now I'm using my finger to carefully and softly blend the color into the red paper. I can also use a blending stump. Okay, first coat is on the pitcher. We can see some of the red paper behind it. At this point, I'm going to spray it and start a second coat. Remember to spray with a workable fixative so that you can work over and over the actual drawing. At this point, it's starting to look very opaque, and I'm also adding in a gray pastel for the cast shadow that is right in the middle of the picture. I'm also using my smudging stick, my black and white charcoal pencils, to get tiny details, such as around the top of the spout. As I've pasteled the second and third coats on the picture, I have used my fingers to rub in highlights, shadows, and such. Doing these subsequent coats, I never rub too hard on the pastel. I want it to lay gently on top of the last layer. Notice I'm almost done with the picture and it's in the background of the area. I have now put a first coat on the fruit, the cup and saucer, and the table. Okay, now for the cup and saucer. And yes, I know my ellipses are off. They're kind of funky, but I did the color well at any rate. So I'm using 3 different greens to lay down a second coat over the cup. I'm paying special attention to highlights and shadows. Now a bit of shadowing around the contour of the lemon using some brown, a little bit of red, and of course some yellow and white. Right here I am applying yellow soft pastel to the saucer to try to get a hold of some of the highlights there. While I have the yellow in my hand, I put a second coat on the lemon. I'm using a light gray soft pastel to block out the background wall. Notice how I'm using horizontal strokes and I'm leaving the texture in the wall. I'm not smoothing it out. I'm also not coloring where the cast shadows of the picture go. So at this point, I've got a lot of coats and textures on the piece. I'm seeing a lot of shadows, highlights, colors. There's some blue in the cast shadow on the wall. The apple's close to being done, and I'm beginning to do the spoon right now. I start with a long swath of white. I have now put my still life directly next to the actual setup. I'm checking colors and I'm checking intensity of value tones, such as how dark is the cast shadow. Did I catch the highlights correctly? I think overall it's pretty well set up. Okay, I think at this point I'm finished. I did give it a final spray. Notice that I went over some of the shadows and cast shadows with purple and a dark gray just to strengthen the deepness of those shades. Notice I put a little purple behind the picture and the shadow of the cup on the wall. However, hardly any parts of it I really rubbed and blended the color overly because I wanted to maintain a very textural look to this drawing. Okay, folks, thanks for listening.